Hello and welcome to today's class. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at your muscle tissues, the muscle tissues. All right, very quickly, we have three classifications of the muscle tissues. All right, the first is your skeletal muscle, the second is your smooth muscle, and the third is your cardiac muscle. Now, what are the characteristics of these three muscles? Stay with me. Your skeletal muscle. First characteristics of your skeletal muscle is that your skeletal muscle has voluntary movement. Voluntary movement. It means that you can choose to move your skeletal muscle at will. For instance, my hands, all of the muscles contained in my arm, my upper limb, lower limb, are skeletal muscles. These are muscles that you can decide to move at will. So I can choose to sit, I can choose to stand, I can choose to raise my hands, I can choose to put my hands down, I can choose to turn my neck, because the muscles that are responsible for these movements are skeletal muscles. So the first characteristics of your skeletal muscle is voluntary movement. Voluntary movement. The second characteristics of this skeletal muscle is striations. They are striated. They are striated muscles. All right, means that when you see the bundle of muscle fibers, it has striations. It has striations. The third point you need to know is that the contraction is stimulated by motor neurons. The movement of your striated of these skeletal muscles are controlled by motor neurons. Okay, motor neurons. All right, so their bundle fibers are also cylindrical in shape and they contain nuclei. Okay, so you need to know these characteristics of your skeletal muscles. All right, the skeletal muscles are those muscles that are attached to the bones of your skeleton that makes it possible for you to have voluntary movement. Is that okay? Good. Now we come to what we call your smooth muscles. The smooth muscles. Now these smooth muscles are the muscles found in majority of your internal organs. All right, for instance, when you come to your stomach, you know that your stomach has very unique muscles that helps the movement of the stomach and the churning of food substances in your stomach. You know that your small intestine, large intestine have muscles that help to propel food particles that moves down. Okay, chyme, it helps to propel chyme. All right, you know that some of your muscles, some of your organs have muscles that help them to move, that help them to function, that helps their contraction and all of those things. So these smooth muscles are muscles that do not, characteristics now, do not have voluntary movement. Their movements are involuntary. For instance, can you try to control your stomach, how your stomach moves? I'm not saying your abdomen now. The muscles in the wall of your abdomen are skeletal muscles, so you can choose to move them. That's why you can tuck in your abdomen and all of that. But you see, for your stomach, you do not have a choice, a right in anything that happens to it. That is why the control of the smooth muscles are by autonomic nervous control. All right, it's not motor neuron, it is the autonomic nervous system that controls the smooth muscles. All right, so the bundle, the fibers are not striated. For the smooth muscles, they are unstriated. For the skeletal muscles, they are striated. Have you ever bought beef in the market before? Now, do you see how the muscles are? Sometimes there's a way you know how to eat your beef, line by line, line by line. That line there is the striations of that muscle bundle. But for your smooth muscles, they do not have such striations. That's why when you buy a meat like the liver and all of those meats, you do not see striations. You don't have line by line. There's no line by line eating. I'm using your basic cow beef and all of those things to explain these muscles to you. Is that okay? Good. So that's what you need to know about your smooth muscles. They do not have striations and they function under involuntary movements. Okay, involuntary movement, and they are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Right. The third muscle you need to know about now is your cardiac muscle. The cardiac muscle is the muscle that controls the heart. Okay, the cardiac muscle is a muscle that controls the heart and also functions under involuntary. It moves involuntarily. The movement is involuntary. Characteristics of the cardiac muscle is that it has involuntary movement. You do not tell your heart when to beat or when to stop beating or when to pump or when to stop pumping. No, that's not your job. It knows exactly when to do what it needs to do. Another thing is that the cardiac muscle has striated bundle of fibers. Striated bundle of fibers. Is that okay? Good. So another tissue we're going to be looking at now are the nervous tissues. The nervous tissues, you can see it on the board, but we'll still attach diagrams for you to see, okay? The nervous tissues. Now, when you come to your central nervous system, all right, you have the breakdown of the central nervous system as your brain and your spinal cord, all right? Now, when you come to your brain, you have a lot of structures that come together to ensure that communication goes on between your brain and the organs. We have the autonomic nervous system, and then peripheral nervous system, then we have motor neurons, and all of these things comes in place to ensure that your nervous system functions adequately. So because we are looking at it at the tissue level now, we're going to be looking at the types of nervous tissues that we have. The types of nervous tissue that we have, and the two classifications we're going to be looking at are the excitable tissues and non-excitable tissues. Excitable tissues are the areas or the aspects, the parts of the nervous tissues that responds to stimuli, that receive stimuli, interacts with stimuli, responds to stimuli. And these parts of the nervous tissues are called the neurons. The neurons. Okay, we're going to be putting a diagram of the neuron on the screen. So you see the neuron, okay, containing the axon and the dendrites. Is that okay? So you look at the neuron, these are cells that are excitable. These are cells that respond to stimuli. These are cells that receive impulses, chemical impulses, and translate it back to the brain and then send to the organs. And all of these processes are possible because you have tissues that can respond to stimuli, and these tissues are the neurons. They are the tissues that carry out chemical functionalities in your brain, in your central nervous system. But there's another class of nervous tissues that we do not always talk about, and these are the supporting cells. The supporting cells, the cells that ensure that the neurons are well supported, well protected, well kept. So one of the cells is the glia cells. All right, these cells ensure that the neurons are properly supported. They give adequate support, and we call them the non-excitable tissues. They do not respond to stimuli, but they ensure that the neurons are properly kept. They ensure that the neurons are well supported. Right? So when you come to the nervous tissues, all of these tissues, they have their roles. It's just like coming to the family. You see the man playing the role of the head of the family, and then you see the wife supporting the head. If anybody does not perform their function, there will be an opening. The loophole will be noticed. You will notice that one area is not functioning well because the one who is supposed to be supporting is not supporting. So this is why it is very important not to also neglect the non-excitable tissues when we're talking about the nervous tissues. I hope you're able to comprehend this. Good. So we're going to be rounding off for today's episode here. Please do well to subscribe to our channel, do well to like, do well to comment, also share to your friends so that this video can get to as much people as it should get to, because I know that you are benefiting from it and a lot of your friends would also want to benefit from this channel. So until we come your way next time, bye.